diving in, what is the algorithm anyway? What the heck is it, and why is it so frustrating? So there are a lot of misconceptions about the algorithm. A lot of people think it's just one algorithm that Instagram has out there, and you've just got to kind of pick and choose and guess what it likes, when really the Instagram algorithm is not just one, it's multiple algorithms. So they have an algorithm for their in-feed posts, they have an algorithm for the explore page, there's a particular algorithm for stories and for reels. So it's all different. And what's important to note about those things is that you should approach them and consider them all a little bit differently. They're all measured along the same, along similar scales, but in different ways. And so we'll kind of dive into that. So, and I hope it makes sense. But they have a way of basically recording people's different accounts' behaviors, and then analyzing how they might behave in the future based on those past behaviors. So that's how they are that's how they are tracking your content. That's how they are pushing out content, ranking content, and that kind of thing. So they each have their own purpose, and we'll kind of dive into what that looks like. So like I said, the different algorithms, they each have their own feed, explore, reels, and stories, which is why we're going to dive in to each. So how they rank the content. So they rank it by, one, the actual contents of your content. So how popular it is, how many people are interacting with it right away. So this is going to be how many people are liking. Don't forget to mute, by the way, if you have your mic on, just so everyone can hear. But this is your likes, your comments, how many people are sharing it, how many people are saving your content, that kind of thing. So how popular is the content that you're putting out? And that is based off of all of those things, how people are interacting with it. So then we have the creator. So if you are putting out the content, you're the creator. So how often does a particular account interact with your content or interact with your account in general? How often are you both DMing, commenting on one another's posts, watching each other's stories, or how often are they watching your stories, that kind of thing. So how often is a particular audience member engaging with you as the creator? So then it'll also track your activities. So what are you doing on Instagram? How are you behaving? What are you interested in? Are you engaging with others, and what accounts are those? What industries, what niches, what types of accounts are you engaging with? And what is relevant to you? Then they will also look at your engagement. So who is consistently connecting with you as the creator, and who are you consistently connecting with? So if you think about how you are on your Instagram, who comes up first on those story bubbles right at the top? Because those are likely the people whose stories you watch pretty much daily, those are also the people whose posts you might like more frequently, whose you might comment on, who you might share their posts, save their posts, that kind of thing. The posts that you look for and the accounts that you look for in your feed are always going to show up first because of the frequency of interaction that you have with them. So in turn, you want to create that frequency with your audience. You want to create that relationship and that level of engagement. So these are the 4 things that they use to rank content. And that goes for showing you content and showing your content to others. I know it's a little confusing. So please, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. So what does this mean? What is actually important on Instagram? So we can chalk it up to 3 different things. So 1, your relationship with your audience. So this is the connection that you have with them, how frequently they're engaging with your content, and that's really important. And so we'll dive into how we can make sure we're building that relationship as we go through this presentation. But the second thing is relevance. So how relevant is your content? And by relevant, it is meaning, is it discussing anything that's trending, that's other people are talking about in some capacity? So example, when Threads came out, Threads, everyone was talking about Threads. So if you made a post about Threads, odds are your relevance was pretty high and your post was going to be seen by a lot more people because everyone was talking about it. Now, that doesn't mean you always have to be talking about what everyone's talking about, but just consider how relevant your content, the content that you're sharing is, and how relevant and how timely it is too. So if we were to not post or say anything at all about Threads right after it came out, and then a month later, we're like, hey, this crazy thing called Threads is here. It's the timeliness has kind of passed. And so people are talking about it a little less, and therefore you're going to get less engagement and be seen by less people because it's not as relevant time-wise, if that makes sense. And then the third thing is interest. So interest, Instagram learns what users are interested in. So what topics they're interested in, what they are typically engaging with, as far as, hashtags, as far as the SEO words that they're typically engaging with, the style of accounts that they're engaging with. So if there's an account, maybe someone like me who's following other people in my same industry, it's going to show me new content from other people in my industry too that maybe I don't follow. And so you want to be within that interest, whatever your niche or industry is, you want to be Instagram to be recognizing you as of interest to your ideal audience. That's a little confusing too, but basically you really want to know what your target audience is interested in, what they value, what they're looking for, because that's where you're going to show up in this interest category. That's how they're going to rank you as relevant to your ideal audience. Cool? Okay. So building your strategy. Knowing all of these components about the algorithm, there are 6 important elements to consider when building your Instagram strategy and planning out your content. So we'll dive into each of those, and keep in mind everything that I said about the algorithm at the very beginning, what 3 things are important and how we're going to build an engaged community, because what it's all about. It's social media. We want it to be social. We don't just want it to be speaking out into the void. So we want those relationships. So first things first, we want to focus on short form video. And I think that this is the most difficult part for most people, one of the most, because it was like one day we woke up and everyone's making videos. All of the platforms are prioritizing video. Thank you, TikTok. And it has shifted the way that we have to approach these platforms. And so focusing on short form can be hard, especially when you have to show up and show your face in videos. A lot of people struggle with that. They get camera shy. They don't want to do it. But I think that it's really, really crucial that you incorporate short form into your strategy because it is the most engaged. It is the most engaged with content. So if we look at in-feed content, 66% engagement compared to images, live video, memes, everything else. So that's why short form video is really, really important, and it should be a part of your strategy. There's a lot of ways to tackle short form video, which we can talk about, but it's really crucial. It doesn't mean that you should not share anything that is within these other categories. It's just having that awareness that it should be in your strategy. Images do well, live videos if you're going live, funny memes. So we'll dive into why those actually do really well. Text-based post, and then we kind of go down below to UGC content, longer form video, which isn't going to perform quite as well. Strictly audio. Or URL or linking out, that type of thing as far as in feed content. And URL links to other content that can be like the ads that you see that would take you somewhere else type of thing. So short form video should be a part of your strategy. It's very crucial. It doesn't have to be complicated. This is one that we shared that got pretty good engagement. It's really simple, text on the screen, and it's just a video in the background using at the time what was a popular audio. So you can lean into those, and Maddie's not saying anything here. This is Maddie, by the way, if you don't know her. She's not saying anything here. She's just taking a sip of her coffee, and nope. And we just have some text on the screen relevant to what we do and how we can help others. So relevant to our community factor of our business. So it doesn't have to be complicated. The other way to do short form video, other than trending audios or doing something more simple like this, is you can talk, and I do encourage it, especially as a small business owner or a personal brand, either one. I think it's really important as you're growing for your audience to attach to you as a person and as a part of the brand. You'll notice that in the way that companies have shifted their marketing, especially their presence on social media, is they are putting a face for people to attach to on their social media. So they're putting, whether it's the social media manager, whether it's, if you are familiar with Tarte Cosmetics, their CEO, Maureen, she is posting and sharing all over social media and showing her face more. And 2 years ago, I would have never known who Maureen was or what she looked like as the CEO of Tarte. And so now I do, and it's because we're attaching her face to the Tarte brand. And so I think it's really important, especially like I said, for small business owners, to really bring that attachment. If you're a service-based business, even more so. But I think it's really crucial to show up, and I know it's uncomfortable, but practice makes perfect. So I'll give you an example of one of those videos.
Instagram is such a funny thing. This idea that you feel like
this is Priscilla, our CEO.
But you still know nothing. And realistically, you probably help so many people with your knowledge, but you feel like because you're not helping more people or helping.
I'm gonna pause it. I want you to notice a few things here. It's casual. She's in the car. It's not perfect. It's not this big production. It's really casual and comfortable. Feels like she is kind of talking to a friend or on FaceTime and kind of giving a pep talk to a friend, that kind of thing. So it doesn't have to be a big production to be good and to do well and to land your message. So I want you to kind of shake off some of those apprehensions or perfectionisms that you might feel surrounding short form video and showing up, because I know it's definitely uncomfortable. I'll say it time and time again, because every time I work with a client, they are always feel uncomfortable right away, and it will just take some practice, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And when you're in the process of doing this, give yourself some grace, but don't solely rely on trends. Show up and build that connection with your audience, because it will be really important. So some best practices for short form video for Reels. It should be short. So you saw on a couple slides ago that there was a really big difference in engagement from short form videos to longer form videos. So I say most of the time between 7 and 15 seconds for trends. So those trending audios, the first one that I showed you of Maddie, shorter, much shorter. And then for longer form talking videos, I'd say between 30 and 50 seconds. You don't want to kind of keep talking. Try and get to the point. You can always share a little bit more in the caption. You could always leave it open-ended and ask if they want to learn more about the topic, that kind of thing. So keep it short. That's really important. Your videos should be high quality. So filming them on a good phone or camera, that kind of thing. Just making sure that the lighting is good, that it's not blurry. All of those things will be important because Instagram will take note of it. And so if it's not high quality, it's not likely that they will rank your video high, and it won't get pushed out to many audience members. The other thing to consider is starting with a good hook. So if you are talking, or if there's in video text, which is the next one as well, having that title on the screen regarding what the video is actually about will be important. So you want to stop the scroll. How are you going to capture somebody's attention right off the bat? You have probably, I would say, less than 1 second to really capture their attention. And so how can we stop the scroll? How can you get them to hear what you are going to say or read what you're going to say? I like to incorporate both. So having a title on the screen that talks about the main idea and having a good hook. That way they're both listening to it and seeing it. And so they're more likely to stick around and watch more of the video. Avoid watermarks from other platforms. So if you are taking a video from TikTok, I have a platform that you can use that I'll share at the end that you can use to repurpose your videos and share them to other platforms without the watermark. The watermark will be, it will be noticed by Instagram, and they are likely to not push out your video and not rank it. You might see that bigger creators can share with the watermark, and that just has to do with their following and the current engagement that they already have. If you're newer to Instagram or you're smaller, you want to abide by a lot of these practices to get as much favor from the algorithm as possible. Next, you want to really focus in on stories. Having daily stories is crucial. Stories are a great way to connect with your audience on another level. You can show a lot more behind the scenes, more of your day-to-day. It can be a little bit more personal. This is also a great place to engage with them, ask them questions, utilize engagement stickers, that kind of thing. And you can ask for their feedback too. So some of the best practices for stories, which just so everyone knows, stories are those little bubbles right at the top whenever you open your Instagram, just in case anyone isn't familiar. But really you want to show up consistently in your stories. They're only live for 24 hours, so don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to make them perfect. But it should be more than just graphics. So graphics are great to share. It's great to utilize them to show off products, to give some education, or share an event, that kind of thing. But it will be important to show some behind the scenes or talk in your stories, connect with your audience. If you go to Forward Female's Instagram right now, you'll see a video of me talking about this very workshop, inviting them, showing my face. And that's because I want the audience to connect with me and know me a little bit before jumping into this workshop. That way they feel like they already know a little bit about me or how I might be in this workshop. And just in general, I think it's important to build that connection, and that connection comes with seeing people's faces. Especially now. Before, it didn't matter as much. You didn't care who was working at Starbucks or who the founder of Tarte was. Nobody really cared as much, but now people need that deeper connection via social media to attach to. So utilize your stories for that. The engagement stickers, so polls, sliders, question boxes, give the audience the ability to interact with you. Not only is that good for your engagement, but it also makes them feel like they're a part of something. Ask their opinion, ask for their feedback, ask if they've ever experienced or gone through the same thing that you have. Those kinds of things make them feel connected and seen too. And then tell those stories. So make them feel involved in your process. Again, that behind the scenes, maybe you are a clothing brand and you're showing how you are making the selections for the next collections designs, or what the fabric feels like, or, a sneak peek of what some of those pieces might look like. So that kind of thing, bringing them along for the journey, is going to make them feel more connected than just showing a picture of said product. And then a pro tip is you can share throughout the day. There's a couple ways to do it, but you can share periodically throughout the day as if they're just following along with you. But I've noticed based on our data that when you really want people to see something, let's say you have a big announcement or something new is coming, I always let these stories expire. So I let them hit their 24-hour mark. I let there be no stories in Forward Female. And then I give it a little bit of time, maybe 10 minutes to an hour. And then I share all the stories that I want to share about that particular thing right then and there. That's how I've noticed that I nearly double the views every single time. And it's because people are waiting and looking for your stories bubble. And Instagram also wants you to return to the app and utilize its features. And so if you pause for a moment, and then put in all of those stories, you'll notice an uptick in your views. We do truly every single time double, if not triple, our views. So just a good tip, but typically sharing throughout the day is good. It feels realistic, and it also feels a lot more attainable for everyone too. Okay, hashtags and keywords. So this is really, really crucial for Instagram. I know a lot of people are kind of back and forth on hashtags, but I am team hashtags all the way. And I think that they are still really relevant and really important for your strategy. And even though Instagram comes out and says 3 to 5 hashtags, 10 hashtags, whatever it is, the data on our back end and on different studies shows that hashtags do still work, and between 20 and 30 are good to use. But anyway, platforms are being used as search engines, and that means that people are using the search feature, the explore feature, whatever it is, to find particular topics, particular accounts, particular information. And so with that being said, you need to identify the keywords that people would search for in order to find your brand or business. So if you were to step into the mindset of your ideal audience, how would they find you? What would they be searching? If you are one of our clients is a wealth management firm, if they're financial advisors, financial planners, so people would likely look up financial planning, financial advisor, how to make a budget, those kinds of things. So if we can rein in what some of those keywords are, what some of those SEO words are, then we can identify what we need to be using in our captions, what we need to be using in our bio, what we need to use in our stories, in video text, that kind of thing, because then that will tell Instagram, hey, this person's looking for a financial advisor, and I happen to talk specifically about being a financial advisor, financial planning, and everything that comes with it that they also might be searching up. So SEO is what this is called, search engine optimization. So you want to have that optimization on your all over your Instagram. And what's important to consider as you are thinking through these keywords and also the hashtags is, one, what would you search to find what you do or offer? Would anyone know to search those terms? So you know your business very well, you know your brand very well, but would other people know to search that term or that thing to find you? How niche is it? And if it's really niche, how can we broaden it a little bit? How can we find a way to rank in what people are searching for, to still find your brand and remain within your niche or your industry? Then I want you to consider with hashtags, how many posts are tagged under your hashtags. So when you look up a hashtag, if you have your phone with you and you go to the search, the explore feature on Instagram and you type in a hashtag, it will show a list of other hashtags that are similar to that one. And beneath it, it'll show a number. That number is the number of people or the number of accounts that have tagged that hashtag. So you obviously don't want to be tagging using hashtags that have millions, because the odds and likelihood of you ending up on that hashtag's explore page when people click into it is a lot smaller. So you want to go and try and look for ones. I like the sweet spot of being between 100K and 500K, because between those, you still have a good chance to, 1 second. So, you have the opportunity to rank a lot more than if there's a million posts there. The other thing to consider is if there's too few posts, then the likelihood of people searching that hashtag is smaller. And so even if you're showing up in front of them, the likelihood that somebody's even looking at it, if it's 10K, 5K, 1K, the likelihood is just a lot smaller. So that's why I find that 100K to 500K is a good sweet spot. And then I want you to also consider, are my captions and my hashtags relevant to the content that I'm sharing? So the hashtags should match what the post is actually about. I like to think of it as having a few hashtags that are really relevant to just what we do generally. So what does Forward Female do? We do website design, branding, marketing, business development coaching, marketing coaching, all of those things. So I have hashtags that are related to our industry in general. And then I have hashtags that are relevant to the particular post. And then I have hashtags that are relevant to our audience as well. So female entrepreneur, female business owner, female founder, those kinds of things, or things along those lines. Those are also important to consider because one, people might be looking within those hashtags to connect with other people that are within those industries and stumble upon you. We happen to also be female founded. And so being female founded and connecting with other female founders works out for us. And so if they find us that way, that's great. But make them relevant to the contents of your post, relevant to your audience, and then relevant to your industry. I have 2 dogs that are just having a blast behind me, so I'm trying to keep them from interrupting. And then something else to consider. So I like 20 to 30 hashtags. And then something else to consider is that keywords should live in your bio, in your name up at the top. They just extended the number of characters you can have there up in your bio. So utilize that real estate. And then in your captions and your in video text. So all of these keywords should be utilized throughout, not all of them all at once, of course, but keep track of have a keyword bank basically that is relevant to your content, relevant to your industry, and pull from there and utilize that in your content to help your posts rank. Next, and I know we have a lot of information coming at you. So after this one, I think I will take a pause. I think I have a pause a little bit later, but I think we need one maybe sooner. So please put your questions in the chat and we will get to them. But the next thing to consider is the value of your content. So you'll hear every single social media marketer, you'll hear them all say it, that your content should be valuable to your audience. It should be high value content. But what does that even mean? And why does everyone keep saying it? So high value content is the reason that your audience is going to not only stick around and follow you, but why they're going to continuously engage with your content, continuously look for your content in their feed, watch your stories, etc. So what does it mean? It means that we need to make sure that our content has a purpose for them. So it's not about you, even though it is your account and it is your business and it feels really like it is about you. It's not about you. It's really about your audience. And that's kind of subconsciously what they're thinking as they're scrolling through their feeds. Everyone inherently thinks like, what's in it for me? Even if that's not what they're actually thinking right then and there, subconsciously, they're looking for why a post is relevant to them, why it matters to them, what they're learning from it, that kind of thing. So we can look at content pillars to consider that add value to your content. I have one on here that isn't on here, I should say, and it's promotion, and we'll get to it. But the 3 things to add value to your content and to your audience is educate. So we want to teach them something new. We want them to know that you are the expert in what you're doing. And we want to teach them something new, whether it's with your industry, with your product, how to use it, why that product could be beneficial to them, how it could make their life better, whatever the case might be. And then we want to relate to the audience. So we want to connect with them. We want them to understand. We want them to really feel like they are a part of what we're doing. We want them to feel seen and heard and valued. And that comes from being relatable. You're not just a stiff brand. You are a business owner. You're a person. You experience a lot of similar things as them, and talk about it, share it, tell a story. Storytelling is so important on social media, and it's important to build that relationship. So be relatable. You can be entertaining. You can be funny. You can really just talk about what you've experienced and kind of talk to the audience about their experience as well. Then inspire is the 3rd one. We want to make them feel something, encourage them in some way, make them walk away with something new, some sort of feeling. And I'll kind of explain how we can incorporate all of these into one. A lot of times these different topics are going to overlap, and you want them to. You want to touch on all of these topics as much as you can within your content. And you want to promote as well. That's the one I don't have on here because promoting is a little bit less value to the audience and it is more about you. But you can position it in a way to where your promotion, your item, your service is of high value to them. So an example of putting all of these together is if you are a clothing brand and you have this white button-down shirt that you're selling or that you just launched, and it's a really simple shirt, you could create a video and you could say, do you have this white button-down shirt, or do you always love this style, but you never style of shirt, but you never know how to style it? Here's 3 different ways that you can style this piece, and we just so happen to have it. Okay, we happen to sell this piece or sell an accessory that would go with this piece, etc. So we are relating to them because if you've struggled to figure out how to style in this way, we're relating to you. We can help you. We're educating them. So we're teaching them how to style. And then 3, we're giving them style inspiration. So we're inspiring them to rethink their style, rethink the piece and how they want to style it themselves. And then you're also promoting because you sell that same piece or you sell something that goes with the piece that you're styling. So I hope that makes sense. Every piece of content you share doesn't have to encapsulate all of them, but it's good to consider that they will overlap. And if they do, you're just providing more and more value to your audience. So best practices with this is have a deep and clear understanding of your audience. Know exactly what they need and what they're looking for in their feeds. Because if you're creating valuable content, they are going to stick around, but you have to know what they value in order to create that content. Know what emotions you want to bring out in your audience. So do you want them to feel empowered? Do you want them to feel supported? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel whatever it is? Make them feel something always, not just in social media, marketing in general. You want the audience to feel something. Understand your brand to its core and how you want to connect with your audience. So how exactly do you want your brand to be perceived by your audience? How do you want the interactions to go? How do you want the relationship to look? And does that align with the core of who your brand is? And then always be authentic. People can sniff out inauthentic people and fakeness right away, and you don't have to show up as anything other than true to you, your brand, your mission, your vision. So show up as authentically as you can, and then have fun with it. I know it's a lot, but have fun with your content. It doesn't have to be stiff. It doesn't have to be boring or anything. Get creative and have fun. There's lots of trends and things that you can tap into. It's social media. It is marketing your business, but it is social media at the end of the day. So you should have fun with it. And when you're authentic and you're having fun, people attach to that too. So I want to pause here. I don't know if I had a pause anyway. Okay, let's pause and regroup. I see some things popping into the chat. So I want to answer some questions if anyone has any or anything like that. So
we had 2 questions
Okay,
so far. The first one was when you were talking about showing your face for content, someone asked, what if they don't want to show their face? What are some other options?
Yeah, so some other options other than showing your face, taking them along for the ride with you. So still showing the behind the scenes, the processes, showing them what a day in your business looks like, what some tips might be. It doesn't have to always be showing your face, but show things related to the business. So I keep using a boutique, for example, or a clothing brand, showing the process of making the sweatshirt or just deciding the designs, that kind of thing. Take them along for the ride. It doesn't have to be showing your face, but you can still give them that additional glimpse with your short form video. So I hope that's helpful.
The next question was making high quality videos. What were your recommendations for video editing?
Yes, so I will share all of the tools that Forward Female uses at the end, but I use just an iPhone camera. So I don't use anything fancy. We have a particular content phone. I also use my personal phone as well when we make content. But I just film it in the regular camera app, and then we use CapCut to edit. CapCut is very, very popular. So if you're also on TikTok as well, it has a lot of great trends already built within it. Same with Reels, it has Reels trends built within it that you can tap into and utilize right in within the app. CapCut is a great video editor. You can add auto captions. So if you have a video of you talking, or even if it's a voiceover, which is another way to incorporate your personality or attach someone to your brand, without having to show your face, is if you show clips and do a voiceover, and you can do that all within CapCut, and then it'll take whatever audio is in there, so your voiceover or voice in the video, and it'll create closed captions for you, which I think are really crucial for videos nowadays as well. So I hope that's helpful, but we'll show all of the tools at the end too.
The next question was, do you think it's better to put hashtags in the caption itself or commenting on the post with the hashtags?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think it's really more about you testing it out and finding what works best for you. For Forward Female, for a while, we used captions, we used hashtag in the captions. And then I started pulling away from that and put it in the comments, and found that in the comments, it tended to do a lot better, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. And I say a lot better, it was like between 100, 100 accounts were seeing it. But find what works best for you. Everything is trial and error. What works for us will not necessarily work for the next account, but we do tend to put it in the comments. And I think it's also dependent on your industry, your niche, and what hashtags you're using as well, as to how your hashtags will perform too. So keeping that in mind, that's probably where it goes in the caption or the comments, is just like the least probably of your worries as far as hashtags go. I think aesthetically in the comments too, it keeps your caption clean and seemingly shorter for the audience to just like psychologically want to read it, if that makes sense. So that's just kind of why that's my recommendation, but definitely A/B test to decide what's right for you.
And then the last question was, is it okay to write a lot of text in posts? They've seen a lot of other people that they follow use a lot of text, and they are fine when it's a topic that they want to read about, but they wanted to know your suggestions on it.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
a health and nutrition coach, if that helps your answer.
Yeah, so back to the beginning, text posts have about, I think it was a 32% engagement rate, as opposed to let's say short form video or just still images being in the 62 to 66% range. But the thing is considering those things is important, but also knowing that your audience is going to connect with you if they attach to the value of your content. So I think share a mix of content. It's okay to have a good amount of text on there. I wouldn't do a ton of text on your reels per se, but on carousel posts and things like that. I also wouldn't make it a novel. You have to think that people aren't going to social media to read an article or PDF or anything like that. So break up the information in a digestible way. And so if the text is easy to digest and of relevance and of value to your audience, they're going to read it. A ton of the other marketers that I follow in my industry, a lot of their posts are all entirely text. Their entire feeds are text. They don't use short form frequently either. And they're unique cases, but I follow them because I find their content to be of high value. And so my interest in their content surpasses the short attention span that I might typically have on social media, if that makes sense. So it's all about providing that value and providing it in digestible pieces. So I hope that's helpful. You can have an array of content. You don't have to just post short form. All of these things, and just being in awareness of all of these things, can help you make the best strategy for you and your audience. It's all trial and error at the end of the day. There's no one strategy that's going to work every single time. And so it's knowing your audience very deeply and knowing what kind of content they're connecting with as you're sharing it. I hope that's helpful. Okay, we are going to continue moving along here. We are almost done, I promise. Okay. So step 5, we're already at step 5 of 6. We're doing good. Step 5, you want to make a plan. So this is remember at the beginning when I said short form video was like the most difficult piece for everyone. This is like the second or even tied for first most difficult part for everyone. And it's making a plan and actually sticking to it. But that's what makes showing up on social media strategic, is if you have that plan in place. So you take everything that we've just learned and actually put it into action. So making this strategy, making this plan, and really sticking to it is how you are actually going to, one, know what's working and what's not going to work. A lot of it is going to be trial and error. With Forward Female, we pivot our strategy frequently. We pay attention to everything that's happening, and we make adjustments when needed and when we're noticing how people are interacting with our content. And if we didn't have a plan and we were just flying by the seat of our pants, it would make that so much more difficult to track, and we would never know what's actually hitting with our audience and what's not. So in order to make a plan, there's a few steps that I like to take, and that can, maybe if we break this down, it can make it feel a lot easier for you. So one is conceptualize your content. So take all of the stuff that we learned and come up with concepts that are going to be of value, that are relevant to the important dates, topics, or promotions that you have coming up within your business. Look at some trends and how can we make those trends enmesh with any of these things, with what you're promoting, with the topics related to your brand or what you're talking about this month, that kind of thing. So build out your concepts and ideas, brain dump them out, schedule out some time for you to just really brain dump and let out every idea that you could possibly have. Get in a creative space, brew yourself a coffee, get a nice coffee, get all of the things that are going to bring you so much joy and put you in a good headspace, and brain dump it all out. So then once you brain dump everything out, you want to give each concept that you are happy with and you want to move forward with, you want to give that a date. When you give it a date, it becomes more set in stone, and it's not just, okay, well, I have this idea and like I'll get to it, or, give it a date right away. That way, okay, I have to have it done by this date, and I have this full 2-month plan ahead of me, and I have to have all of these things created by their due dates. So plot it out into your calendar, your project management system. We love Trello, which I will share as well. That way you have a clear plan in place for all of your content concepts. After that, you're going to set aside time to create, whether that's creating the graphics, whether it's filming the videos, editing videos. Plot out all of this time, all of the time that you may need. At first, it's going to feel difficult to do it all at once, and that's okay. Try and do a week to 2 weeks at a time when you're starting off. As you get a little bit more comfortable filming, editing, and creating those graphics, whatever it is that you are using for your social media, it'll get a lot quicker, and you can do batch more at a time, but set that time aside to create. If you're not setting aside the time to create and you put all of this into your calendar, then the day is going to come and you're not going to have any content, and you're back to square one, where you're creating the content the same day and putting it out there, and you're really stressed, and you didn't really think through the keywords because you're just trying to get something out there. It's much better, even though consistency is so key, and you want to put out as much content as you feasibly can. It is much better to not post than to rush something out that's not actually going to do anything for your strategy. So it's really important that you take that time aside to create and actually sit down and do it. Be strict with yourself. Be disciplined in this. Have an accountability buddy. Maybe you guys are gonna, maybe you and another business owner will sit down together at a coffee shop and block off time to hold each other accountable to both be creating. That can always be helpful too. But sit down and do it. And then utilize tools to automate. So there are so many tools out there now. Instagram itself has the ability to, you have the ability to schedule posts within it, feed posts and reels. So utilize the tools in front of you. Canva has an ability to schedule content. We use Later personally. There are so many things out there. So if you can create the posts and then schedule them out, then you no longer, in all of those days, you no longer have to think about, okay, what's going live today? What's happening today? You no longer have to think about it, and you can start thinking about the bigger picture. You can start thinking more about the strategy. You can start focusing on the things in your business that you actually love to do, because you didn't create your business to be your own social media manager and only focus on that. You created your business because you're passionate about whatever your business is. And so you want your time back. And so that comes with automating and sticking to the schedule. Because it's, without it, you're going to be in that day to day, and it's going to be really stressful and hard to strategize and really build those connections with your audience. So this is what Trello looks like. This is kind of how we build out all of our marketing. So we have labels as to exactly what it is. Within each card, which is what these are called, within each card, it details out.
She froze.
You froze. Oh no. One second. She usually comes back after like a minute. This has happened before. Oop.
Okay, apologies. My internet is not the greatest, if I'm being honest. Spectrum is really on my nerves. This probably happens to me about once a call. Usually I was actually pretty impressed with how far along I got without losing you guys. So we will dive back into the presentation. But anyway, as I was saying, hopefully we were on Trello whenever I froze. But this is the platform that we use to schedule out all of our marketing, and not just social media. She's taking a minute to come in, I see. But not just social media, all of our other marketing endeavors are in here. This keeps us accountable. We can also get approval. So if you have a team or anyone helping you with your socials, this can be a great tool to use. And then we have Later. So this is just a glimpse of what last week looked like. So you can put in all of your social media platforms in Later that you want to share to. Last week, so we typically share our TikToks natively and our Pinterest pins natively, but we share our Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn posts all in Later. So this is what that looks like. You upload the media and you drag and drop, and it's a really useful tool. And you'll see how this says auto at the top. It means that it auto published. So once I dropped all of this content in here and scheduled it, I did not have to look at it, think about it. It left my brain and was gone. And that is what you need as a business owner. You don't need to be thinking about, oh my God, what's going on Instagram today? You already know, and it's already scheduled and good to go. So the sixth and final step, yay, we made it, is track and analyze your data. It's really important that you know how the strategy and all of this effort that you're putting in, you know how it's actually performing. So once you put that strategy in place, utilize, Later has analytics, but Instagram has analytics in the back end that you can use as well. And there's no, like I said, no one strategy that is going to be perfect and work all the time. So you will have to learn and pivot. And that's just how marketing is in general. Is learning, taking the data, and then seeing how we can improve upon it, seeing how we can reach more people and how we can leave a greater impact. And so you can utilize the back end of Instagram here. We track it month to month, week to week, that kind of thing. So we know exactly how things are performing. Your accounts reach, which is this top number, that's your visibility. So that's the number of Instagram accounts that you are that you have gotten in front of over that X amount of time. And then accounts engaged, this number is really important because this indicates your community and how people are interacting and connecting with your content. So are people connecting with it? Are people interacting? That's what that engagement number is. And you always want to see that grow. There's a lot more features in the back end here where you can look at your audience demographics, the time that they are most active as well. It can be really helpful when you're posting. If you're using something like Later will analyze your posts and analyze your audience, and they will actually put in the best time for you to post on Instagram. They'll highlight it in pink, and that's the time frame that you should be sharing. But knowing all of the data and knowing how your posts are performing and how your audience is attaching to them is going to help you actually put the strategy in place that is going to work for you, put out the content that your audience actually cares about and connects with. And so making data-driven decisions is crucial. Okay. I know that we're almost done, but Threads is new. So that was everything about Instagram. Threads is new, and I promised that we would talk a teensy bit about it. It's just what we know now. It's still such a new platform. And if this is how everyone feels about it, a new platform to keep up with, but I promise it's a lot of fun actually. So I'll just make this really quick. So what we know about it, it pulls from your current Instagram and bio, and more importantly, your followers. So you don't have to start from scratch. It's connected with your Instagram, and as your followers join Threads, they will already be following you, which is really exciting. So you're not starting from scratch. It's really community focused. So start a conversation. You don't have to show your face. So for all the people who are scared to do that, you don't have to show your face on Threads. Start conversations and engage with other accounts. A lot of outbound engagement is going to be important on this platform. Show up consistently. So check out Threads every day, thread a little bit, and then go about your day. It doesn't require being on there for a long amount of time. And then I think the most important part about it is to have fun. It's a new platform. It doesn't need to be that serious. You're serious literally everywhere else and all throughout the day, everywhere. You don't have to be serious on Threads. It's a great opportunity to be funny, to be inspirational, to connect on a deeper level. You'll see, similarly to how Wendy's several years ago approached Twitter by being a little raunchy, by being a little out there and chaotic even. It's similar here. Brands are showing up in a much more relaxed way, a much less professional way here. And it doesn't mean, assess the line between professional and unprofessional, obviously, with your common judgment, but you don't have to be serious. Don't sell to your audience so much on Threads. Make it fun, build genuine connections, and it's a lot of that relate pillar that we were talking about earlier. So just don't take it too seriously and have fun. It's a great opportunity to start conversation and really connect with new people. So that's the approach that I would take to it. So don't take it too seriously. I pulled some examples of ways to not take it too seriously, and also a way to show up a little bit more seriously and more niche on your account. So HoneyBook, if you're not familiar, we love HoneyBook. That's our CRM system that we use. We love them. And so they said, do y'all have time to thread, but you don't have time to set up your automations. So it's still relevant to what they do and what they offer. And it's funny and just really lax. So it's still branded. We shared one that was kind of like a meme, BRB, threading until further notice. This was the day that Threads came out. All my life problems are fixed by Threads. So just be funny, silly, that kind of thing. Drink Poppy, the summer I turned Poppy. So if you're familiar with the show, the summer I turned Pretty, just kind of keeping it topical, trending, that kind of thing. And then Shannon here shared a social media hot take. So that's a great way to share your opinion, start a conversation, like we were saying, and relate it to your niche. And she didn't share too much. She didn't try and sell anything. She just kind of gave her opinion, and it started a conversation. She has 37 replies here of people sharing their thoughts as well. So it's a great way to approach Threads. And it looks like we're threading now, which we totally are. So follow us on Threads if you're not already, and start conversations, have fun, don't take it too seriously. Yay! Congratulations. You guys listen to me talk forever. So thanks for sticking around. Dancing Queen by ABBA playing. That's like one of my favorite songs. So whenever I saw this, it's like, that's how I feel at the end of these things.